So what is an empath? An empath is someone who has an open solar plexus. That's one of the chakras. And it is the emotional center in the human design chart. So basically, it indicates that you are an emotional sponge. You pick up the feelings and emotions of others around you. And when you don't know, you think those feelings belong to you, but oftentimes they don't. Oftentimes you store other people's energy, and that is a big part of why there's anxiety and depression. Bad dreams. They don't belong to you. It's not your fault, it's how you're made. If you're this way, you're hypervigilant. You're always looking, embracing, for, other people, trying to please them, accommodate them so that you don't have to feel uncomfortable. It's a strategy. Empaths often attract a narcissist. And a narcissist is just the other end of the spectrum on the feelings. So instead of being open to emotions, they have walls built up. And, they are not expressive of their emotions usually. They're usually avoidant, whereas an empath typically has an anxious attachment style. So the two are just like magnets. Neither one of them is coming from a place of security. One is overly emotional and the other is unemotional. And, there's variations on that spectrum. There might be such a thing as full-blown narcissists. I don't know. But I do know that in my own healing and in examining the partners that I've had and the different situations and dynamics, I see where my over-giving and over-explaining and my toxic usage of empathy made me a magnet to people who are not emotionally available to meet my needs. And so it's about going to those places inside and seeing where I didn't allow myself to be more selfish. I'm in this selflessness, this purity, this, I earn my halo because I, give my everything to everyone else. No, that's being a martyr. That's like self-sacrifice. And then you're resentful of the people that you do this with, but you're doing it to yourself. So, there's a whole dynamic that you have to look at, and where do you need to set boundaries to, incorporate your own narcissistic traits and realize you're narcissistic too, and that's why you're attracting it. You're trying to become whole. Your psyche is trying to bring forth what you're not allowing, which it's in there. When I was a little girl, my grandma, she bought my sisters and I Barbies. Every time we'd come to her house, which was usually every other Friday for the weekend, we would get a new Barbie. She would lay them out, and, I would let my sisters, my two sisters, pick, and I would not assert my needs. And then I was resentful for doing that, but it was like a good girl programming. Like, I always have to be the one to, like, I let other people have their way first. That's loving. No, that's abandoning. Like, it would have been okay to take turns who gets to pick first. There has to be some sort of fairness where we're all worthy. But, I didn't assert that. I just let them, and then I'm like all pissed off in my little child body because I didn't get to pick the one that I wanted. And, I did that. So it's just understanding that we're creating these dynamics by the way that we're behaving and what we're allowing. If the other person truly is like a narcissistic type person and they don't do any inner work and, they want to blame and shame and, they're in that toxic, sort of way of being, there's nothing to do but leave. You're never going to outsmart or win anything with someone who operates at that level. You're just not. They're not capable. Their level of consciousness is too low. That's not to say that they're not loving, good people. Like, not at all. They're just not capable of meeting you emotionally. And if you don't have emotional safety, you can't have a good relationship. And it will jack your nervous system up so bad. Like, anxiety, it will just flood your body because your body knows. And you can lie to yourself and you can paint them in a different color, which I did. And on my healing journey, when I was already aware of all of this stuff, I still slid back into these patterns, and I would like shine my love and light onto them, like try to paint my empathy all over them, project that onto them, when they didn't have that. They weren't interested in that. And, the breadcrumbing, they would not at all try. And, there's only so much spiritual bypassing. And what that means is you're not feeling your feelings, basically. There's only so much of that can go on. You can only wear rose-colored glasses for so long, and then it's like, no, you crash. It's called an empath burnout. And for me personally, I would carry so much like pain in my back and in my shoulders. And it's because I was essentially letting people drain my energy. I was giving and giving and giving, and they weren't giving me anything in return. And the thing is, like, why do I need anyone to give me anything? That's coming from lack. That means that I don't know my worth. And none of that is loving. That whole give, take, narcissistic, empath, that whole thing is all based on control. It's all codependency. And that is not love at all. That isn't. That's using another person to get your needs met. And I don't care which one you fall into. Neither one of it is healthy. And if you don't see that, you're not going to heal. If you think that, oh, I was the good one because of this. No. No, because that's enabling. And that's also lying to yourself and letting other people treat you disrespectfully. So you have to see it from all angles and all perspectives. look at it from their perspective too. You know, why should they work harder or, you know, put out effort if you're the one always doing it? And if you bring that up and they still don't change anything, then you got to walk away. You can't keep on going down that road where it's like being a hamster on a wheel. You're just going in circles and circles and circles, and you're going nowhere. You got to get off the wheel. And then work through that resentment. Like for me, I had tons of it. So like I cried a lot, and I beat the hell out of my floor with my fists, screamed. You know, you have to get that out and realize that anger that's there is there for a reason. It's because you're not being respected. Are you respecting yourself? Like, it goes both ways. You can't get respect if you're not respecting yourself. You can't get respect from people who don't have it to give anyway. So you discern that and you don't put that in your life. And you forgive the person to release them and to understand, you know, they're just acting out their patterns, their trauma from their childhood, and there's nothing you can do about that. So sitting around and analyzing that, that's the other thing. Like, oh, this girl can analyze. Yes, I can. Like, I can pick apart anything and figure out, you know, where it came from and why. But is that mine? Is that a good use of my energy? No. No. Basically, that's abandoning myself by putting someone else as the focal point. So that doesn't help anything. So the only thing that really helps is to go in, your own self. Go within. Ask those questions. You know, where does this come from? Why do I do this? What could I do differently? But, you know, there's a kind of a badge, like the empath thing. It can really get you stuck. It can. Because you know you have a big heart. You do. You have a beautiful, amazing, wonderful, giving soul. You do. It's magnetic. It's wonderful. But you have to guard that heart. You don't just give it freely. Nuh-uh. No. You gotta feel. Use your feelings. Like, that is the key. Like, how does this person make me feel? Do I feel drained when I'm in their presence? Do I feel exhausted? That is always the truth. Energy doesn't lie. People do, but we'll always feel it. So just use your powers of discernment and take responsibility for yourself and forgive yourself and others for not knowing, because truly they don't know. If they knew, they wouldn't do that. But you can't make them know. Only you can know and act accordingly.